The moment you turn 28, dating is so different. In my early 20s, I always wanted to date older guys. They were always in their 30s. Of course, when you're in your early 20s in college, you have no money and this guy's taking you to nice fancy restaurants and you have to pick between a college guy or this guy. The guy in his 30s just seems so much cooler. But as you get older as a female, you realize that the reason why those men can't actually date women in their own age group is because they're super immature. So they rely on the inexperienced, naive girls that have no life experience because they put those men on a pedestal. I went from having this huge age gap of 10 to 15 years to now only wanting it to be below 5 years difference. I've come to the realization that I don't want to date any man that's been dating women in their early 20s who is over the age of 35. If you can't date someone within your 5-year age gap, then there's something wrong with you, especially if you're taking advantage of the young and naive and the inexperienced. I also used to have a really hard rule on guys being over 6 feet tall. In fact, I welcome the short kings. Like, I don't want a kneecap in my back when I'm dancing. Are any of the other girlies going through the exact same thing as me? Is this a valid conclusion? Bye.
So there's a lot of cope in this video. First off, you're in your 20s. No one's taking advantage of anybody. You weren't some helpless child. You both exchanged the resources that each other wanted. You wanted trips and fancy restaurants, and he wanted to go with young, attractive, appropriately aged women. But if you insist on labeling it this way, the only person taking advantage of somebody here is you, because I guarantee he spent far more on whatever you gave him. But besides that, now you're approaching 30, and these guys aren't calling you anymore. So instead of owning up to any of your own responsibility, you're to come on here and slander them all. These guys aren't insecure or taking advantage of anybody. That's just you trying to remove any of your own agency. There's nothing wrong with these guys. The reason they want you in those early 20 years, because that's the only time you actually have any value to them. Most of these guys spent a decade plus working, and they're not about to waste all that time they traded for some old lady with baggage and a bad attitude. And that's why you hear coping and seething about it now, because you can see that on the horizon. And we can tell that because now you're accepting guys under 6 feet, where I'm sure 10 years ago you weren't. These are just the howlings of a woman not getting the attention that she thinks she deserves. So she opened up the old toolbox and used the only tool they have, shaming language. But like all tools, when you use it too much, it wears, to the point it does nothing now, just like all your useless buzzwords. So go ahead and say whatever you want, because just like your hairline, they're never coming back.